There was a time, not so long ago, when Britain seemed to communicate entirely in a secret language. A language of phrases that no one ever explicitly explained, but somehow we all just understood. They were the background hum of every childhood, the soundtrack to every minor transgression. Until one day, they just faded away. And we were left wondering if they ever made sense at all. Let's take a trip back, shall we? It all starts with a simple warning. A prophecy of impending doom that could be triggered by almost anything. You will have somebody's eye out with that. Now, that was a very broad category. It could be a stick, a pair of scissors, a pen, a balloon on a string, your little brother's flailing arm. Honestly, sometimes just existing too energetically seemed to risk a national outbreak of single-eyed children. It was the ultimate catch-all phrase for be careful. The strange thing is, despite the constant, imminent threat of ocular catastrophe, I don't know a single person who actually lost an eye. It was a threat that was 100% effective and 0% fulfilled. The perfect parenting paradox. Then, of course, came the inevitable question of finance. Any request, no matter how small or reasonable, was often met with the same rhetorical question: do you think I'm made of money? You could be asking for a new pair of shoes because your current ones were letting in water. You could be asking for a single sweet from the corner shop. You could be asking to put the heating on in the depths of a brutal winter. You could be asking for the latest chart-topping record. The question wasn't really a question, it was a statement. It was a short, sharp, two-act play that always ended the same way, with you not getting the thing you asked for. No, we didn't think you were made of money. We just hoped you had a couple of quid spare. But we knew, deep down, the answer was always no. Now, for a phrase that was less a warning and more a prophecy, it will end in tears. This was usually uttered with a sigh and a shake of the head. Typically about 5 seconds before everything descended into chaos. Two kids playing nicely in the garden. It will end in tears. A boisterous game of football a little too close to the greenhouse. It will end in tears. You and your sibling deciding to see who could balance on the sofa arm for the longest. Oh, it will definitely end in tears. The thing is, they were never wrong. Ever. Whether it was a smashed window, a full-blown argument over who cheated, or just one child inexplicably bursting into tears for no apparent reason, the prophecy always came true. It was as if uttering the words themselves willed the tears into existence. But what happened when you were already crying? Perhaps for a perfectly valid reason, like falling over or your brother taking your last biscuit. Well, you would be met with the most illogical threat in the parental arsenal. I will give you something to cry about. This sentence was a masterpiece of emotional misdirection. It fixed absolutely nothing. It offered no comfort. But what it did do was end the conversation immediately. It was so baffling, so devoid of logic, that your brain simply couldn't process it. How could they give you something more to cry about than what you were already crying about? What could possibly be worse? We never found out, because we never dared to question it. We just stopped crying. We recalibrated our emotions on the spot, sniffed, and carried on. A truly remarkable, if slightly terrifying, piece of psychological wizardry. Then we enter the teenage years, a time of blossoming identity. And what's the first thing you hear when you try to express that newfound identity? Who do you think you are? This one was a bit more abstract, a bit more philosophical. It was the standard response to any attempt at self-expression. You got a slightly different haircut. Who do you think you are? You wore a new jacket that wasn't your school uniform. Who do you think you are? You suddenly developed a shred of confidence and spoke up for yourself. The audacity. Who on earth do you think you are? The correct answer, we learned, was always, no one. Sorry, you were supposed to retreat back into your shell of conformity, hair flattened, confidence diminished. It was a verbal whack-a-mole for any pop of individuality. This often led directly into its more direct, more actionable cousin. You are not going out like that. This wasn't a question. This was a direct order, a royal decree that could refer to your clothes, your hair, your makeup, or simply the general attitude you were carrying. It was a complete shutdown of your entire persona. The sentence was usually delivered from a doorway, blocking your exit to freedom. It was often followed by an emergency wardrobe intervention, where the offending item of clothing was swapped for something far more sensible. The funny thing was, the question was often followed by a hypothetical scenario, like what if you bump into your nan, a scenario that had a near zero probability of happening, but was somehow presented as an unassailable argument that shut down all protest. You weren't going out like that, and that was final. But perhaps the most quintessentially British phrase of all, the one that contains multitudes of meaning in just 3 little words, is this: we will see. On the surface, it's a promise of consideration, a gentle deferral. Can I go to my friend's house on Saturday? We'll see. Can we get a puppy? We'll see. The child hears hope. They hear possibility. They hear a maybe. But we all know what we'll see really meant. It meant no way. It was the softest, most polite, most emotionally confusing no in human history. It wasn't the hard no of, do you think I'm made of money? It was a no designed to let you down gently, to delay the inevitable disappointment, leaving you in a state of hopeful limbo for days. It was a masterpiece of passive aggression and conflict avoidance. Looking back, these sayings weren't meant to be cruel, or even particularly funny. They were just British. They were the linguistic toolkit for raising an entire generation. A strange, unwritten social contract that we all signed up to without ever reading the terms and conditions. And somehow, against all odds, we all understood them. They shaped us, for better or for worse. Next time, we'll be looking at the strange British habits we all had, the weird rituals we never questioned, until they, too, quietly disappeared into the past. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more trips down memory lane.